Hi everybody, it's 9:30 a.m. here in Vancouver. So let's begin. My name is Shane Moore from the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, and it's really great to be able to welcome you to this session from the Faculty of Forestry on our Master of Sustainable Forest Management. We've got a really great session ready for you. You're going to be able to meet the team and also ask us any questions that you have. Before we begin, I do just want to take a moment to acknowledge that we're broadcasting today from the traditional, ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam. And the Musqueam are one of the First Nations of Canada, and it's on their traditional and unceded territory that UBC Vancouver is located. And I know you'll be doing lots of research into UBC at the moment, and I'll encourage you as part of that research to read more about the First Nations of Canada, particularly the Musqueam, and the history of these lands where UBC Vancouver is located. One of the things that we want to do today is to answer your questions. So if you have any questions for us, you can put those into the Q&A. You can also upvote questions. So if you see a question that somebody else has posted and you really want to hear the answer to that one, make sure that you upvote it. And we're going to answer your questions today. So put any questions in the Q&A. We'll turn the chat off soon. So you use the Q&A for any questions that you have. Before I pass you over to the team, I just want to take a minute or so just to tell you a little bit about UBC Vancouver and our Faculty of Forestry. UBC is one of the top universities in Canada, in the world. It's often ranked as one of the top 20 public universities in the world. We have a really amazing graduate student community with over 11,000 graduate students at UBC Vancouver, and around 37% of them are from outside of Canada. So we get students from, I think, over 140 different countries. So a really diverse mix in our graduate student community. We also have some amazing programs. So we have over 300 graduate programs at UBC Vancouver across our 12 faculties. There's some amazing research happening at the graduate level. Over 900 million in research funding last year that came into our university, and we also have some really amazing cutting edge professional programs like the Master of Sustainable Forest Management that we're going to talk about today. And all of this is in a really great location. So we're in a really beautiful part of the world. Vancouver is definitely a very livable city, and a great place to be for your graduate studies. UBC's Faculty of Forestry has really excellent facilities. It's ranked and often viewed as the #1 place in Canada for forestry, and one of the best places globally to study forestry. There's some really excellent research happening across the faculty in innovative products that develop and further develop the field of natural resource science and management and engineering. There isn't any other forestry faculty in Canada that receives as much research funding. And we have some, as I mentioned, some really excellent facilities. We have 2 research forests, the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest and also the Alex Fraser Research Forest. We have our Forest Sciences Centre at UBC Vancouver, our Centre for Advanced Wood Processing. So really great facilities that you'll be able to access. And we have a really great range of innovative professional programs. So you'll be part of a great community of graduate students studying in those programs. So to hear more about the Master of Sustainable Forest Management, I'm going to pass it over now to Anna to take it from here. Over to you, Anna.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Anna Tobiash. I'm the program coordinator for the Masters of Sustainable Forest Management, or MSFM, as we typically refer to it. I'm also a registered professional forester in British Columbia. So I've worked in consulting and government and forest planning. And I also work at the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest, where I do strategic forest planning. And so the MSFM program is an intensive 9-month course-based master's program. It says July to April there, and we typically do the orientation in June, and then in July you have access to some pre-readings as part of the first course 555 that you can complete prior to arriving. You arrive in August, where you will spend 1 week on campus. And then you spend 1 week in southeastern British Columbia in a small town called Nelson, getting exposure to a lot of different forestry management practices and more of like an interior forest because here in Vancouver, we are situated more in coastal ecosystems. Okay. Oh, perfect. So here's a snapshot of the main courses that you take. It's a 33 credit program. And so it starts there with the F Core courses. These are actually with all the different course-based master's programs. So you do get some interaction with some of the other graduate students. And then below our list of the core MSFM courses. And these courses are only the MSFM students. So you're with your cohort in these classes. And the first term is typically more structured around learning about like site level, forest level information. And then the second term, we zoom out and now really think about things at landscape scales. There's two capstone courses. That's the 557 and the 558. So these have bigger group projects involved with them. And they also have each 1 week field schools. So the 557, they come out to the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest for a week. And then in 558, we go in the winter to a smaller community and work with a community forest on a landscape level plan with them. You also get to enroll an elective of your choice, and we have a whole list of electives that the MSFM students typically take. I will also say that if you have a background, because everyone comes in with very diverse backgrounds, so if you have a very heavy like economics background, geomatics, or something like that, there are opportunities to take other electives if that's repetitive with some courses that you took in your undergraduate studies. Yeah, so it's a very applied practical program. We're going to learn all about different land management, focusing on really forested ecosystems. And we do use BC quite often as a case study, but lots of this information applies to other places, and we do bring in examples of other areas. So we're going to expose to both policy and regulation, geomatics, especially with the focus of like a practitioner using these tools. And then site level management, looking at soils. You can see the students right there in the soils pit, operations, silviculture, forest health, all of it. So it's a lot about working with both quantitative information, but also qualitative because managing forests is not only about like understanding the ecosystems, but it really is about working with people and communities. So we do spend lots of time also focusing on some of those other skills. So as Shane really mentioned in the beginning, we have some pretty outstanding faculty at UBC, and so you get the opportunity to learn from them. Some of them are dedicated to teaching the courses, but you also have others like coming in from our faculty that you will have exposure to. And it's not just our faculty, you get to learn from practitioners at the Research Forest. So that week that you spend there, you get exposed to the whole team at Malcolm Knapp. And there's other foresters and practitioners that you get exposure to in the different field weeks and the courses. And so you get really wonderful like learning opportunities, but also networking potential. As I said, it's applied program. So we do spend a lot of time focused on experiential field learning opportunities. So there are some outdoor lab components, but there also are these field weeks. So out of the 9 month intensive program, it's almost 1 month that you're spending out in the field. And oh yeah, I was gonna say one last thing, but yeah, just that it's cohort based. So there's 24 students, and everyone comes in with very diverse backgrounds, which I think is a strength of this program. Each year is a little bit different, depending on the cohort, but everyone really brings in their experiences, and that really enhances the learning of everyone in the cohort. And then I'll pass it off to Nicholas.
Great, thanks, Anna. My name's Nicholas Coops. I'm also a faculty member here in forestry, and I'm one of the two program directors of the MSFM program. I want to welcome you and echo Anna's comments as well about our real excitement about the MSFM program and having you join us next year as part of that group. It really is quite an innovative way, I think, to run these programs in this cohort model. And what we mean by that is the 23 other people that you'll be working with throughout that whole 9 months will we be with you throughout that entire journey. These students are from all over the world. This year we have a wide variety of people coming both from British Columbia and Canada, but also from Africa, from places in Asia, all around the world, coming together to learn about how to do sustainable forest management. So, of course, you learn about forestry and you go into the BC forests, but it's really exciting to also see all the experiences and backgrounds of all the people, the other 23 people that you're working with. And you stay and work with those students, work in group work, work alone, over the 9 months to go away and learn about this skill set that you have. So it's a tremendous way to learn. You've got a lot of support from your peers and from the faculty, and you work through the program over the 9 months to give you this degree. We've got lots of great success stories of students that have taken the program and then gone and got active positions. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you can see here a testimonial from one of our students, and you can read his story there by just clicking on the QR code. But Michael is a student currently within the program, and he talks about the level of organisation, professionalism, and academic rigour within the program. He really talks about the fact that if you are passionate, pardon me, if you are passionate about sustainable forest management, it really does give you the tools to go away and make a tangible difference. And I want to pick up on what Anna said as well. Yes, you spend time at university, but you're also spending time in the forests and different forests around British Columbia. And he touches on that as well, because not only do you have the transformational perspectives of the courses that you're doing, but you also have a chance to go in the forest and do that actual management and see management in action on the Vancouver Island, in the interior, and around British Columbia. So it's a really nice mix of skills, professionalism, and then indoor-outdoor activities that we think makes this program extraordinarily unique. Next slide, please. A real critical part of this program then is our link to these forests. And UBC is blessed to have a lot of forests that we can access in British Columbia to do our teaching. And one of the key forests we use is a research forest about an hour and a half out of Vancouver, which Anna mentioned is the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest. We're so linked into that forest that, in fact, the other co-director of the program, Ellen McCrow, is our other program director, and she's actually a research forester working within this research forest. So it's a great opportunity now for me to throw to her. Ellen, would you like to continue talking about the program, please?
Thank you, Nicholas. Hi, everyone. My name's Hélène Marcoux. I am also a registered professional forester, like Anna indicated about herself. I am the director of the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest, which is just over 5,000 hectares in size. It's a working forest. We have a sawmill. We log annually. We do all sorts of different, support all sorts of different research endeavors, teaching and learning, and are very integrated in the surrounding community, along with doing programs for the community, children, lots of outreach activities. So it just gives you a little snapshot. But for the MSFM program, as the students come and we really lean on this forest for the first term, September to December, for the site planning course, as well as it integrates into like your geomatics course and kind of weaves everything together. So here are just some photos of the students this year. I see some photos here of doing different field measurements, using different instrumentation, examining different forest health issues, particular branch of tree that may or may not be white pine blister rust. Can't quite see at that size. But anyways, this is just really, I mean, one of the opportunities is not only are you developing what we call a site plan at the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest, but you come back in the new year to see some of your management prescriptions undertaken by the research forest staff that winter. So it's a very kind of practical experience, but also real. Like you're really doing something that is being implemented. So that gives you just kind of a little bit of an overview about the hands-on aspect of things in the program. Let me go to the next slide. In terms of career opportunities, so like I pointed out, Anna and I are both foresters. There's so many different directions where you can go. And in Canada, you come out of this program and you can register to become what's called a registered professional forester. This is a designation that requires a certain type of educational background, followed by a couple years of articling, meaning you have work experience and you have someone that mentors you, and then you become an RPF or registered professional forester. And this program, the MSFM program, kind of helps people that maybe have an undergraduate degree in a related field, but not in an accredited forestry program, to kind of move through the hoops to become an RPF, if that's something that is part of your career goals. So that is something across Canada, and also within British Columbia. And to point out, in terms of graduates, in terms of the 2024 cohort year seeking employment in Canadian forestry sector, there was a 100% employment rate. Our graduates are all over the place and have incredible careers, and the breadth of that exceeds, anything you can even imagine that has to do with forests. From anything related to geomatics, GIS, working in communities, urban settings, forest health specialists, wildfire specialists, people working and integrating with First Nations communities, working within their forest sector teams, working hand in hand with, economists and people doing landscape level planning. It just goes on and on. So we are excited to expose you through the program to some of those different career paths and have conversations with you about what your goals are. And that's something that we do throughout the whole program, along with bringing in folks that are potential employers and having that opportunity to learn about, people that are potentially seeking to hire people out of the MSFM program. And now I'm going to pass this off to Rebecca. This is her realm, is the admissions.
Thanks, Ellen. Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Kim, and I'm the Admissions and Administrative Coordinator for the Professional Master's Programs in the Faculty of Forestry. I'll be going over the next few slides and providing information about general admission requirements and application procedures. So for general admission requirements, academic background, it's very specific to a program. And for the MSFM program, we generally prefer applicants who have an academic background in environmental sciences, as this typically provides the essential foundational subjects needed for the program. However, we've also accepted applicants from other disciplines when their coursework, such as ecology, biology, or earth science, or forest soils, combined with relevant professional experience, demonstrated strong alignment with the program. Because admissions are reviewed holistically, each application is assessed on a case-by-case basis, and there is flexibility in how qualifications are evaluated. So if you're unsure whether your background is the requirements, you're welcome to reach out to us for a preliminary assessment. Next is the GPA requirement. For those applying from Canada and the US, we're looking for an overall B+ range. That's 76% in senior level courses that are equivalent to UBC's 300 and 400 level courses. And I want to make a note that we do not convert your grades to the UBC grading scale. We use your particular institution's grading scale to check whether you meet the overall B+ requirements. So if your GPA at your institution is in the B+ range for your senior level courses, you meet the general minimum GPA requirements. And for those who are applying with international credentials from countries outside Canada or the States, it is based on the overall average. So GPA requirements for international credentials vary depending on the countries, and these criteria are set by the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. So I encourage you to refer to their website to check the minimum GPA, and I'll share the link to check the minimum GPA requirement for international credentials by countries in the chat box shortly. The next one is English language proficiency. The test score is required if prior degree is from a university outside of Canada in which English was not the primary language of instruction. And most common tests and acceptable tests are TOEFL, IELTS, KILE, PTA, and that's about it. And I will share the minimum scores needed for TOEFL and IELTS in the chat box shortly as well. Next slide, please. How to apply. And I will go over each points in detail and make some highlights. So first one, complete the online application and pay application fee. And you can apply by completing the online application, and this can be only submitted by paying the application fee. For domestic, you'll pay $118.50. International students, you'll pay $168.25. We got questions whether the application fee can be waived, and the only circumstance would be if the applicant is a citizen and a resident of one of the least developed countries as declared by UN. And this list of countries can be found either on Google or on the grad studies website. And if you are eligible, the application system does not ask you to pay for the application fee. Next is provide scanned copies of official transcripts for all post-secondary institutions you have attended. And even if you took one course or courses only without credential at an institution, you must list them on your application and upload the scanned copy of the official transcript for that institution. And then official transcript is not the screenshot of the institution's website or the record of grades downloaded from your institution's student portal. Normally, you can obtain an official transcript from the registrar office, and also scanned copy of your grading key page is required for our GPA calculation. Next is list 3 references with minimum 1 academic reference required. For reference, ensure that your referees use an institutional or professional email address. Our application system does not send reference links to free email accounts like Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail. If a referee only has access to a free email account, they will need to submit a hard copy letter in a sealed envelope and then mail it to our office. And the instructions on how to do this will be sent to your referee's email. Some applicants who have been away from academia for some time away may not be able to provide academic reference. In those cases, we recommend submitting 3 professional references who can speak to your skills, work performance, and overall suitability for the program and for the graduate studies. Next is send in your official English language proficiency test results. And this has been explained in my previous slide, so I won't go in detail. Last is submit your MSFM questionnaire, letter of intent, and curriculum vitae. This is self-explanatory, but it's a part where you can elaborate your skills and your experience and how those are related in succeeding in the program that you're applying to. So statement of intent is normally 1 to 2 pages long, and here you can state your academic interest, what you hope to achieve in the program, how you will succeed in the program, how you will utilize your skill and knowledge acquired from the program in your future career path, and why this particular program at UBC is the best place for you to pursue your interests. Yeah, so next slide, please. So next steps, join an advising session with our graduate student services team and get started on application. We hold a weekly advising Zoom session, so please feel free to join if you have additional questions or would like to learn more about your qualification or suitability to the program. Learn more about MSFM on our website and sign up for our mailing list to keep up to date about upcoming events, program opportunities, and important deadlines. And I'll pass it on to Shane.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, everyone, for that great overview. Lots of really essential information there. Thank you all. Now we're going to answer any questions that you have. So if you have any questions about the program, about how to apply, this is a great opportunity. So let us know any questions that you have in the Q&A. Abel has started us off with one question here. So let me pose this to the panel. They're wondering if the program partners with industry, government, or Indigenous communities for internships or applied projects. And is there any opportunity to intern with such organizations during a break or a vacation in the program? Would anyone like to jump in on that?
I can
Helene?
start it off, and
Yeah.
maybe Anna, you have some things to add as well. Yeah. I mean, like I was mentioning, we bring in a lot of guest speakers. We meet a lot of different people that are working in the field and might be hiring people. And I guess the way, for context, because I think, is that question coming from someone, an international student?
Yeah, I think Abel is from Ghana. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say the way that it really works here largely is that there can be volunteer opportunities. We can help set you up even for informal interviews and to meet prospective employers. There might be at the research forest some internship, like practical volunteering opportunities. You were mentioning something about during breaks. But typically, I'd say what happens in the Canadian context is that you apply for jobs, and there is a lot of jobs and a lot of employers seeking folks coming out of our program. So I'd say those are kind of some of the pathways, but this is something that between Anna, myself, we can help to kind of, find those pathways for you because it's a smaller cohort. You get a lot of individualized support.
Yeah, I would say that well, actually, something I've been doing very recently is like speaking with each student to understand what, like from our current cohort, of what they're wanting to do and helping them find those connections. And yeah, it's interesting too in the forest sector here, if you're wanting to work in, I would say, really in many places in Canada, is we're very tied to like field seasons. So a lot of people actually, a lot of employers post things around this time of year in the fall, but they're actually hiring for May, April, kind of right when the program ends. So it's interesting for students because you're in the midst of your program, but you're also like applying for those jobs for 4 or 5 months from now. But yeah, as Alen also mentioned, the students get exposed to so many different people in terms of in the industry in different parts of BC, and we've seen lots of MSFM grads actually then go and like work for some of those people. So there is really wonderful like networking opportunities inherently like in the program.
That's really great to hear. Thanks for that. And so exciting that people are getting hired, like even during the program, they're having these opportunities to connect with organizations and find the next step, find the next job. Next question from Xavier, who just wants to clarify that they don't need to be on campus until mid-August. Anna, maybe you can just remind us of that at the beginning of the program, because I know there's some work that needs to be done?
Yeah, so you have to be physically here on campus for mid-August. But yes, there is some pre-reading material associated with that course. But that's all available online in July. And so you have like 6 weeks leading up to mid-August to prepare. And then, yes, you arrive on campus mid-August to start the in-person portion of 555.
Great. Um, Next question is from Madison. I think this one's for you, Rebecca. They just wanted to clarify if it's possible to use like a Gmail address for one of their referees. So two of their references have professional emails, but one is a private business owner and has a Gmail account. Is there any way that we can work around that?
Well, even if you enter in Gmail account email address, they will be receiving an email with an instruction how to mail their hard copy letters to our office. So it wouldn't be an issue if they are able to send in the hard copy ones.
That's great. Yeah. So Madison, your referee can use a Gmail account, but what they'll need to do is actually post in and mail in the reference. So just make them aware of that so that they're ready to do that quite promptly when it's time to do so. Okay. Next question here from Abel. They are an activist and advocate against illegal mining and logging in forest reserves in Ghana. Are students able to explore issues like illegal mining impacts, community-based forest governance, or climate-smart forestry in their final projects?
I can take that one. So a few things there. So final projects. The students in MSFM have two key team-based projects they do, one in term one and one in term two. One is a site-based analysis about a particular prescriptions that should be thought about in a forest stand. And the second one in the second term is more of a landscape-based analysis. The students all work in the same area, so you don't bring in separate case studies or separate small projects. Collectively, the team all works on different, they work collectively on one forest area for the site plan and then one forest area for the landscape plan. So there's not an opportunity for you to do your own individual project in an individual type area or location or looking at a particular question. We teach the cohort and work collectively on these joint applications. So that would be the first thing to say. Second, are you able to explore issues like community-based forest governance and climate-smart forestry? Absolutely. I mean, both of those topics are covered in the program itself. Community-based forestry, community-based forests are a very big thing here in British Columbia. And in fact, the students work and hear from, as Ellen says, people working in that particular area. So there will be quite a lot of exposure to different forest models, different ways of managing forests, different interactions with First Nations, community groups about how to manage forest resources. That's very much a key part of the MSFM program, and you will get exposure to that. For the climate smart forestry, you do silviculture, which has a strong climate component to that. We have guest lectures talking about climate smart forestry. You do think about things like insect and disease, fire, climate change, future growth. A lot of these issues all come into our management of our forest stands, and so you'll learn a lot about that through the courses and the projects that you go away and do. The project is forestry focused, so there wouldn't be anything on illegal mining, but this idea of other impacts on the forest environment as well, urbanization, the other pressures that we have in our forests are also something that we consider. So you will, I think, have exposure to many of those ideas and be able to work on many of those types of topics within the projects that you do within the MSFM. Ellen, anything to add to that?
Yeah, maybe just to give a concrete example. So last year for the landscape level plan, we worked with a Indigenous community. Lil Watt Forestry Ventures is their forest branch out of this community. It's a few hours away from Vancouver. And we were there for a week. And what they were interested in exploring was the long-term viability of using forest management practices to promote the growth of berries and mushrooms that are important food sources for the community and part of their cultural practices and trying to revitalize those practices, as well as providing habitat, for instance, for grizzly bears. So they were wanting students to look at developing long-term plans on how to manage the forests to promote those values on the landscape. And that involved like harvesting and applications of fire. And so the students had to kind of think through how to create a model that helps to study this over a longer term. And then every team had sort of different objectives that they were focusing on for this Lil'wat community. So that's just a practical example of what Nicholas is talking about. We very much place-based in the work that we're doing and try to make it of service and, oh my, someone's calling me, and real for the community that we work with and the students.
Excellent. It's really exciting, really fascinating, the projects that students are getting to work on with that hands-on experience. Another question here, which I think we might need to take offline, but Rebecca, if you can help with this one. Ogunbayo has applied already, but one of their referees has been unable to submit yet. Are we able to resend the link, or maybe we could check in with them afterwards about their missing reference?
I'll leave my contact email in the chat box. If you can send me your student name and the referee you're talking about, I can check on our system.
Yeah, we can check that. So let us know. Do follow up with Rebecca afterwards, and she'll be able to help with that. Her email now is in the chat. Excellent. So great questions. If you have any more questions, let us know now. Anything you've got about the application or anything like that, do let us know, or the program itself. Maybe while we wait for any more questions to come in, maybe I can just ask the team. Obviously, we get applicants from outside of the environmental sciences who apply to the program. Is there anything in particular that you look for from those students who are applying outside of the field, who are maybe coming from different areas like economics and places like that? Is there anything we look for in the application?
Maybe I could speak to this, and Anna, please feel free to jump in as well. We've had people just to speak to their degrees in the past, mechanical engineers, environmental science, geography degrees, even someone with a criminology degree. And I'm saying that only because those individuals that had more removed kind of degrees we look at their work experience. And many of these individuals had already really relevant work experience in the forestry sector in different parts of the world. They bring a richness to the program because they're now, drawing in these all the different skill sets. We have a student this year who his degree was in economics, and then he later kind of found his way in his career to be working more in forestry. So we really look at the letter of intent. We look at that resume, the CV, we look at your transcripts, and we try to understand your motivations for the program, and also what career and work experience or volunteer experience are you bringing forward. Would you add anything else, Anna?
No, yeah, I think that was really good. And yeah, I would emphasize that that letter of intent is really important because it allows you to really speak for yourself in terms of your motivation, your past, all of that. And yeah, there are ways that if we see let's say someone has never ever taken an economics course. There are online, I believe it's a free one that we recommend that you complete prior. So there's ways that we can find solutions to improve those or fill those gaps prior to starting the program if there is something like that.
We had one individual last year, for example, that spoke to us for a few years about wanting to be in the program, and then we helped him kind of point to certain courses to take to fill some of the gaps because this is the direction we wanted to go in. Looking for folks that have had field experience and experience working on the land, working in the forest, being outside, and lots of different environmental conditions is really important. We also look for, some background in soils or earth science. That's really important and often a bit of a gap that we find. But again, we try and guide people towards how to fill those gaps and prepare yourself for the program.
Yeah, because I think it's a really wonderful part of this profession is that forestry is so broad. And so the example of the student with an economics background, that is such an asset. And so it's okay that applicants aren't coming with like a forestry degree or earth sciences or something like that. And so yeah, we can like find the pathways to help you enter this program at some point in time if it really is what you want. And I think it brings a lot to those individuals when they become practitioners or people working in the forest sector.
Excellent, that's great. And I was just wondering as well, obviously we have our cohort of, I think, 23 students, so it's a really nice small cohort. Is there much opportunity for the group to connect in with other graduate students in the faculty, like in different programs? Is there chances for them to network with others?
Yeah, sure, I can answer that. So we actually have a number of these programs in forestry. There's actually 4. There's one focused on sustainable forest management, which is this one. There's one focused on urban forestry. There's one focused on geomatics and the use of geomatics tools. And the last one's focused more on policy and international forestry. They're all around the same size. So in total, there's about 100 graduate students doing these types of programs per year. And all of them are around 9 months. So we really encourage those 4 groups of students to spend time together to give them the expanded contacts from rather just their program to the other students doing these programs as well. And in fact, a couple of the courses you do will be done collectively as a group of 100 rather than a group of 24. So there's real opportunities to expand your network and work and learn from those students as well. And importantly, make friends and colleagues from those students from that larger student body. They're all on the same floor here in the forestry building. So there's a real, there's a real buzz when all 100 students are together working on their different individual topics within these course-based masters. But it really is a great way to make friends and colleagues that I think will last you a lifetime. So yeah, there's a great opportunity there to make friends beyond just the 24.
And there is also the graduate student society, which would also have that has the research-based thesis students in it as well. And in the past, I believe we actually had a couple years ago an MSFM student was on that board. And so within these course-based master's programs, yes, they're shorter than the thesis-based ones, but there are these events that go on throughout the year, like social events. And by all means, there are students in both graduate streams that are interacting together.
Great, it's really exciting. Another couple of questions here from Abel, who asks, who says, I have a background in forest resources technology and plan to take some online courses before the MSFM. Which key skills or courses would you recommend I focus on? And also the second question that Abel's interested in is, what is the ratio of faculty to students in the program? Would anyone want to start us off on that?
I can jump in. I think probably best to speak to Abel directly once we see their application and what they bring forward and what would be some helpful gaps or ways to prepare ahead of time. We can customize that for those individuals. In terms of the ratio, is that I think what we've been talking about, 24 students to 1 instructor.
That's right.
And yeah, multiple different instructors in different courses. Some of them you see more than once. And then what Nicholas was saying is that there's 2 courses, these F-Core courses. One is on diverse ways of knowing, and the other one is a communications course, I believe. And those two are with the broader course-based master's programs, these other cohorts of students. And so there's about 100 of you in those courses. But otherwise, it's a very small cohort.
Great.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ogunbayo is just asking if we get the recording of this session. Yes, you will get the recording. So we'll send that to you over the next couple of days, so you can watch the session again if you'd like. Okay, last call for questions. So any final questions you've got, let us know in the Q&A. We're going to be here for a couple more minutes and happy to answer any last questions that you have. Yeah. I mean, maybe I can sort of ask the team another question while we wait to see if anything else comes in, or maybe I can actually turn it over to you. Is there anything you want to sort of wrap up with, or anything you wanted to highlight about the program that we haven't talked about, or remind people of something we have talked about? Any sort of final thoughts?
I was just going to say, this is my favorite program. This is such a wonderful program. I think it is absolutely fabulous. I'm enjoying so much getting to know the students in the current cohort. Just such a wonderful, talented group of people. It's very inspiring. Yeah.
I can remark on, prior to being in this role, I've actually worked with MSFM grads as a forester, and they have been really excellent foresters that I've interacted with. And I think there is something to really the deliberate choice that you're making as adult learners to come back to school and pursue this. And that motivation, you see it in the classroom, and I definitely have experienced that professionalism, like peer to peer with other MSFM grads.
Excellent. Brilliant. Well, it doesn't look like you have any more questions right now. I think the panel have done an excellent job of presenting the program and answering your questions. So thank you, panelists. It's been really great. You can see on the screen the email address, and it's in the chat as well. So any more questions that come up for you after the session, don't hesitate to let us know. And Ogunbayo, I know you're having those questions about the referee, and we will be able to help you. I think it's probably something that Rebecca needs to look at more closely, just on our system, and we'll work with you to help your referee submit the reference before the deadline. Oh, if it's the MasterCard program, we can have a look at that as well. I'm not sure if we can answer that in this session, but do please reach out to Rebecca. We will do our best to help you as much as possible. Okay, excellent. Great questions, everyone. Thanks so much for all of your questions today. Thank you to the team. Really appreciate your time, and thank you for talking about the program in such detail. We'll wrap things up for today, but we wish you luck with your applications, and we'll hopefully see you at UBC Vancouver soon. But we will say goodbye for now. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.